Senator from Louisiana.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I ask unanimous consent that the Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs be discharged from further consideration of S-2391, and that the Senate proceed to its immediate consideration. And I further ask that the bill be considered read a third time and passed, and that the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Is there objection?
And well, actually, I wasn't finished.
Sorry.
That's okay. Madam President, will it be in order for me to explain S-2391?
Unanimous consent agreements are not debatable.
You want to withdraw the consent, make your remarks, then read the consent.
Okay.
Okay.
My unanimous consent request, Madam President.
The request is withdrawn.
Madam President, in a few moments, I'm going to reassert my unanimous consent, but first I wanted to tell you why I rise today in our Senate. It has to do with flood insurance. The National Flood Insurance Program, which is administered by FEMA, is going to expire in 17 days, September 30th. About 5 million Americans depend on national flood insurance. As you know, Madam President, up until recently, private insurers would not provide flood insurance. The federal government, for that reason, decided a number of years ago to implement its own program, and it is administered by FEMA. The National Flood Insurance Program is far from perfect, Madam President. I don't want to give the impression that I think that somehow it is a model of efficiency, because it is not, especially after its implementation of Risk Rating 2.0. Having said that, it's an economic, it meaning the federal flood insurance program is an economic and commercial necessity. It's almost impossible to buy a home in an area that has the potential of flooding, which is everywhere now, without being able to get flood insurance. My bill is a simple bill. It does nothing but extend the federal flood insurance program, which again is about to expire on September 30th in 17 days. All my bill does is extend it as is by 1 year through September 30th, 2024. If there is a threat, and there obviously is, that government is going to shut down, I do not want to risk allowing the NFIP to expire during hurricane season, which we happen to be in. I mentioned 5 million Americans depend on flood insurance. 500,000 of those Americans are in my state of Louisiana. What would happen if we allow the NFIP, the Federal Flood Insurance Program, to expire? Well, for one thing, the NFIP would be prohibited from issuing new policies during that period of time, which would shut down commerce and the real estate business. Now, existing NFIP policies, I don't want to scare anyone. If for some reason the flood insurance program expires, existing policies are still in effect until their expiration date, and claims will continue to be paid as long as FEMA has money. However, the federal requirement that you have to purchase flood insurance under certain circumstances to get a mortgage would be suspended, which means that many mortgage companies would not loan the money to homeowners. If we allow the NFIP to expire, The federal flood insurance program would not be able to borrow money from Treasury. Their authority to borrow money would be reduced from the current $30 billion to about $1 billion, which is not much money, as you know, Madam President, to recover from a national disaster. The National Association of Realtors has suggested that during the lapse of the NFIP, about 13 years ago, we allowed it to expire. At that time, just in my state alone, about 1,400 residential home sale closings had to be canceled. So let me say it again. I know the flood insurance program is not perfect. I will be the first to say that. I will lead the parade. A lot of work needs to be done on it. But the only thing worse than what we have is nothing. It will shut down commerce in terms of real estate in this country. And in 17 days, September 30th of this year, the National Flood Insurance Program expires. All my bill does, one thing, it extends it 1 year. So, for that reason, Madam President, I ask unanimous consent that the Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs be discharged from further consideration of S-2391, which is my bill, and the Senate proceed to its immediate consideration. And I further ask that the bill be considered read a third time and passed, and that the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Is there objection?